Good afternoon, ma'am, and all of my fellow friends present here. We Team G.E.M.S welcome you to this event on International Environment Day. We are honored to have Prachi ma'am as our chief guest speaker for today's event. We would like to learn more under her guidance through the session. We hope to shine brighter and earn more knowledge from her.
So, hello everyone. Today we are going to celebrate World Environment Day, paving the way for Greenpreneur by Team G.E.M.S at STEAM Varsity.
Prachi ma'am, the founder and CEO of Cool the Globe app. Prachi ma'am is a media professional, climate activist, and founder of an application designed for climate action named Cool the Globe. She is an ecopreneur. Prachi ma'am is a media graduate with majors in advertising from Symbiosis Center of Mass Communication, Pune. She has also won Young Scholar Awards.
Now, I would like to invite Prachi ma'am for lamplighting.
Hi.
STEAM Varsity, Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Mathematics. Based innovative programs and hands-on experiences to empower students for the challenges of the future.
STEAM Varsity also runs its community outreach programs, in which we try to reach the last child of the society, considering them the first child of the society, to benefit them with STEAM education. All the students and mentors who volunteer their hours, sharing our resources to children coming from rural areas so that everyone can learn this very innovative education.
GEMS. GEMS is Girls Enriching and Manifesting STEAM. Team GEMS, a group of aspiring girl student chain makers recruited from different schools and colleges globally at STEAM Varsity, who are dedicated to learning by doing through science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics to create impact in the society with girl power under the guidance of our mentors. Now, I would like to invite Prachi ma'am for an interactive session.
Hi, everybody. So nice to see all of you. I've been hearing about GEM and I was reading about it before coming here. And I now wish I was also a part of it with you when I was growing up.
Ma'am, every girl in the world is part of Team G.E.M.S.
Oh, okay.
You are the one and the most senior and most knowledgeable who can mentor us to do well ahead.
Amazing. So I am a GEM then. Okay, thank you for including me in GEMS. But I'm so happy, over the past 6 years, I've been now in the climate change environment space. So Environment Day has become almost more important than my birthday. So it's become kind of like a birthday. So I'm so happy that I get to spend this special day with all of you. I would love to see some of you because this is going to be a very interactive session. Is that okay? Will you participate with me? Will you answer, talk? Okay, give me a thumbs up and show me some of your, show me your faces so that I know you're going to be participating with me. Come on camera. I want to see all of you. I want to see all the.
Everyone, please turn on your cameras.
Okay, perfect. So let me start sharing my screen then. Can you see the screen? Okay. So I think today, because I learned about what an innovative concept GEM is, I did not want to just talk about the environment, but instead I want to talk about how the environment is really about our lives and our careers. And I wanted to talk to all of you a little bit about my career and how I decided to do. I think the start of anything good should happen with why are we here. So I would love to hear, in fact, after the session, a little bit more about all of you, what drives you. But I want to start by telling you what drives me and why I am here. So when I was around your age, I wrote down, I remember on a piece of paper, 3 rules for my career. I remember doing a search, I used to think, everybody in my family is an engineer, and I'm the only non-engineer in a family. So when the time came to carve out my career path, I thought very actively about what my field of choice should be. Um, and I remember thinking about what work even means. So, I want to start by asking you, what does work mean to you? What do you think work is? Let me know in the chat box, or you can just unmute and talk also. What does work mean to you?
Yeah.
Yes, please go ahead. You can feel free to just unmute and talk, or just answer in the chat box.
क्या बोलो जल्दी बोलो.
So I remember reading a book, Engagement, Ambika says. Work means something you love to do that inspires you. I love this answer by Heathel. Um, Great. So I started, I remember doing a search on when I was deciding which field I want to choose, what I want to do. I remember searching how many hours are each one of us going to spend at work. And sorry, did you say something? Okay. Kavya says work means doing something that makes us happy. Poonam says anything to follow your passion. Amazing. Okay. So I remember doing a search on how many hours am I even going to spend at work? How many hours do each one of us spend at work on an average in our lifetimes? Do any of you have any guesses? Let me know in the chat. How many hours do we spend at work in our entire lifetime?
Ma'am, maybe around 8.
8 in a day. How many in a life?
Around 1/4 of our life we are working.
Absolutely. So, if we do the math, around 8 hours a day, through our lifetime, I was very surprised to know the answer that each one of us spends about 90,000 hours at work. So I thought, yeah, and all of you know how many hours it takes for somebody to become an expert at something, right? It takes about 10,000 hours for a person to become an expert at something, to become really good at something. So I remember thinking, even if we spend 10% of our skills and time from our professional life into making into making a difference, then all of us would kind of become experts at making the world a better place. And so I set out to write how I wanted to build my career and how I wanted to build my dream career. So I remember as a 17-year-old, I'm sure many of you are around the same age or even younger. I remember writing on a piece of paper 3 rules for what my dream career should be like. So the first rule was that I wanted to meet amazing people like you. I wanted to meet extraordinary people, innovative people from all walks of life. I wanted my life and my professional career to be filled with community and people. That was my first rule. My second rule was I wanted to travel the world, but more importantly, I wanted to travel within India and see every part of my country. And my third rule, the most important rule, was that I wanted to make some kind of a difference through my career. I wanted to figure out how I could have a high impact career. So the first thing I want all of you to do today is to write down your own 3 rules. your own rule for what you want your career to be like. So let me know in the chat. I'm very curious to know this. If you wanted to write down some things that you want in your career, you're at the perfect age where you have to, you can set out to build the career of your dreams. What should that look like? You can let me know in the chat, of course, but I'd love for you to unmute yourself and let me know like this also.
Ma'am, study.
Study. Okay, so you want to study and become knowledgeable. Great. Ambika wants to introspect, observe, and make change. Heathel, very nice. Wants to do something that makes her happy. Anybody else?
Ma'am, change.
Kavya wants to meet inspiring
I
people.
would like to be satisfied and passionate with my career
Um,
that helps the community and society to grow.
That is so nice. Okay, to be passionate and to help the community. Similar, very similar to mine. Pratiksha wants to do something for the country. Ridhima wants to build lasting
Ma'am,
relations.
make change in our lives.
Make change. Amazing, Ria. Great. Okay. So Chirag wants to be what he wants to become. Okay, great. So I want to tell you guys, telling me these things is very lucky. I'm like a lucky charm. So if you, whatever you tell me today is going to come true. So make sure you speak a lot and tell me all your dreams. But basically what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about the environment. Yes, because my career is about the environment, but we're also going to be building your dream career. And that to me is the purpose of today's session. So, what we're going to be doing is firstly get something to write on. Have some a piece of paper, maybe your a phone, something to write on, because I'm going to make you work. I'm not going to be the only one speaking. What we're going to do today is I'm going to tell you 4 experiences from my career, and I'm going to give you 4 activities in exchange. So I'm going to share some things from you. I'm going to ask you to do some things. Is that okay?
Yes, yes, yes. That will make it more interactive and engaging.
Okay, perfect. But make sure you keep unmuting yourself, showing me your face, and giving answers to my questions, okay? So the first thing I want to share with you is why I even began doing what I'm doing. And for me, one of the most decisive moments happened when I was in 3rd or 4th standard. I remember my school teacher asked us to write a letter, not to somebody else, but a letter to ourselves 10 years from now. 10 years from now, where would I like to be and who would I want to be? So I remember writing that letter and then completely forgetting about this. And then many years passed. I graduated 10th standard, passed 12th standard. And I was at a very decisive point in life, like I said, when I was trying to think of what my career should be like. Everybody, like I told you, in my family is an engineer. I had taken admission for engineering, but there was some nagging feeling inside me. I kept thinking, maybe there's something else that I want to do. But I didn't really know what it could be. It was at this point that something very interesting happened. My school teacher sent that very letter back to me. The letter written by my younger self to the Prachi she aspired to be. And I remember reading it was a huge wake-up call, because in it, my younger self had written about making an impact and changing the world. And I've not thought that way in a very long time. So I kind of got inspired by the words and the dreams of my younger self. And I decided to go on a quest to figure out how I could make some kind of a difference through my career. And that kind of set me on the path to building Cool the Globe. So because it was such a decisive point for me, one of the first activities that I want you to do today is to, now maybe we're not in the times of letters anymore, but write yourself an email to yourself 5 years from now on. And some things I want you to think about in that email. I'm going to give you 2 minutes. We're going to be quiet for 2 minutes. So you get some time to write yourself an email. And maybe just some things that you can write about. Of course, it's your email. But some things that I suggest is maybe you can tell your future selves how you're doing now, what your struggles are, because who will understand you more than yourself from future? You can talk about who do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to achieve? What value you never want to forget. And lastly, you can talk about what advice will you give to yourself from the future? Because it was my advice that my younger self had given me that gave me a wake-up call. So maybe 5 years from now, you might get a wake-up call from yourself also. So we're going to take a 2-minute break. Can somebody keep time for me? Does anybody have a stopwatch on them?
Yes.
Okay. So set it for 2 minutes. I'm going to give all of you some time. Maybe just write it in bullet points right now and expand it later. So write about these things and then maybe put them once the 2 minutes are over. I want to hear from some of you what you wrote to your future self. Okay, start.
Start.
Okay.
30 seconds.
30 seconds are over, 30 seconds are left.
30 seconds left. In
Okay.
fact, ma'am, the time is over now.
Over, okay, perfect. So did some of you manage to write some things?
Yes, ma'am. In a few lines.
Tell me.
Data. I want to change all the things that I can make better. I want to at least try to change all the things harming our society and surroundings from my own house at least.
Amazing. Great. I like it. Very good. So maybe expand on that after this session, write like a good long email. And you can even schedule yourself an email so that you receive it in 5 years. Great. I love what Ashi wrote. Anybody else? And I want to remind you again that whatever you tell me comes true. So if you want your dreams to come true, tell me. You can even type it in the chat box.
Ma'am, I wrote that first of all, I should be a good person and be a resource to the society and the world and take steps to save the environment.
Amazing. So you should come with me to Cool the Globe for the third part. For the first part, I think wanting to be a good person makes you a good person in itself. So you already are, I'm sure. So amazing. I love what you wrote. Anybody else? You can even let me know in the chat. just some pointers on what you're.
Poor people की help करना.
Yes,
Help the poor people.
help poor people. Okay, very nice. Heathal wants to be a kind and a good person and wants to make an impact. Amazing. Maybe let me tell you about what I wrote last year that I do this very regularly now because I feel like writing letters to yourself can be extremely impactful. So this is what I'd written to myself last year that I received this year, which was I had given myself 2 challenges: to wake up at 5 a.m. every day and go for a run every day. So I did one of the two things. I don't wake up at 5 a.m. yet, but maybe I will now. Yes, I do run every day. So I managed to do one of the two things I wanted my future selves to do. So yeah, it's nice. I hope you loved writing to yourself and you will do more of that from now on. Then I remember I wrote myself, I want to tell you about what happened next. I hearing about what my younger self had written was a huge wake-up call for me. I got inspired by my words and I decided to go on a quest to figure out how I could make a difference to my career. And what I decided to do in that year is that I took a gap year and I started looking at, how I could do that. So I remember doing a Google search on what is the biggest problem in the world right now. Do any of you have any guesses as to what came up?
Climate change.
Climate change, global warming.
Absolutely. So you already have a spoiler, you have a hint to the answer. So yes, the biggest problem in the world, I was very surprised to see that all global scientists, organizations, people around the world were talking about how climate change is the most pressing issue in front of us today. But it was very surprising to me because nobody around me was really talking about it. So I started looking at, what even is climate change? Do any of you know the answer? What is climate change? What is your understanding of what climate change is?
Can I answer?
Dhruv says change in climate, which is correct. Yes, climate is changing.
Excuse me, ma'am. Can I answer?
Yes, Kavya,
Yes,
please
yes,
answer.
anyone, please.
So the climate change basically means to have an extreme change in the climate, which sometimes forms a problem or sometimes is good for us.
Absolutely. So yes, that can it can mean that when climate changes, sometimes it can be good for us also. But yeah, Heathal wants to say something.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, climate change is basically when the earth is overheating because of the greenhouse gases that are being produced by the humans. The gases trap heat, which leads to change in the temperature or climate.
Amazing. So Heathal just knows everything. She can come and give this lecture. So I was just going to tell all of you that when I started looking at what climate change is, this is what I saw. That the temperature of the earth, average temperature of the earth is increasing. It's risen already by 1 degree Celsius. And the reason it's happening is because of who are the villains in this story? What did you say, Heathal? Who are the villains?
Greenhouse gas.
Absolutely. So greenhouse gases are the villains in this story. Do you know what some names of greenhouse gases?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon
methane.
dioxide, fertilizers, and pesticides.
Fluorocarbons, methane.
Amazing. All of you know this already. Why am I here? So carbon dioxide, methane, somebody saying fossil fuels, chlorofluorocarbons, they cause the ozone layer depleting. Then atmospheric ozone. These are fluorinated gases. These are some of the greenhouse gases. And what they do, like Heathal said, is that they trapped the sun's heat into the atmosphere. It's because of the greenhouse gases that the temperature of the earth is rising, and that's leading to climate change. But this is what I read, but as I started reading more and more about it, it got me thinking. I realized that greenhouse gases are not the real villains in this story. Somebody else is the real villain. Greenhouse gases are being framed. Somebody else is pulling the real trigger. So who do you think are the real villains in this story?
Human beings.
Absolutely, very true. Amrita also said that it's the main villain is people like us, human beings. Greenhouse gases are actually the heroes of planet Earth because without them, the Earth would be too cold, and we won't even survive. Plants won't grow, civilizations won't thrive. So greenhouse gases are required. They are the superheroes of our planet. So what is the problem? I don't know if your grandmother is anything like mine, but my grandmother keeps saying too much of anything is always bad. And absolutely, she said exactly. It's like all of you are reading my mind. She also just typed in that too much of everything is bad, which is exactly what's happening. Humans in our day-to-day lives, we do lots of things. We travel to college, we build homes, we buy clothes, we use things, and in doing all of these day-to-day activities, we emit greenhouse gases. And so 280 parts per million is the amount of carbon dioxide that was present in the earth during 1750s. And that's how much CO2 the earth requires. But because of human activities since the industrialization time, now you will see if you can Google anytime what is the real time parts per million of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere right now. And right now it must be about 420 parts per million CO2 that's present in the atmosphere. So more than almost double of what is required. And that's happening because of human activity. So that's the reason that the temperature of the earth is increasing. But then I remember thinking, why does that matter? The temperature of the earth has increased. Why should it matter so much? So what are the effects of global warming and climate change? What's happening because of it? Since I know all of you know many of these things, so I want to hear from you. What are the effects of climate change? Amrita says rising sea level.
Melting of glaciers.
Absolutely, Kavya. Very correct. Melting of glaciers, natural calamities, floods, Heather says. Shiti says animals not being able to live in their habitat, heat, loss of species. Sukhdev, amazing. Great. Forest fires, Amrita, absolutely. I love how aware and conscious all of you are, because these are the main primary effects of climate change. And I think all of your answers have already covered many of them. Extreme weather events are happening more frequently and more intensely. So like you said in your answers, if you just open up a newspaper today, you will see flooding, wildfires, storms, droughts happening around the world. Like one of you said, sea levels are rising. So people say that even Mumbai might go underwater someday, or some countries like Maldives might be completely submerged. Changes in rain patterns, Indian monsoon might change and shift permanently. Retreat of glaciers, like Kavya said, loss of biodiversity. We read chapters and chapters on this in school. So I remember reading about all of this when I was a young student also, learning more and more about climate change. And after going through these catastrophic effects of climate change, I remember asking myself a question, which I want to ask all of you today also. Do you care about climate change? Yes. Okay. I mean, I'm getting many yeses in the answers. Ashom says kinda. Okay, thank you for your honesty. Shania, yes. Heetal, yes. Pratiksha, yes. Absolutely. Okay, so all of you are saying yes, you do care about climate change. So I love that. Because all of you are a lot more conscious and aware than I was in your age. Because the first time I asked myself this question, I had a moment of honesty with myself and I thought, yes, this sounds like something very big. But to be honest, I don't think I care enough about this. And to my credit, I was a young student. I had enough on my plate, like you do too. I had friends to make, extracurriculars, sports, exams. And even beyond that, I saw so many issues in front of me. I saw poverty, illiteracy, inequality. I wondered why should I care about polar ice melting in some other part of the world? So I decided to think about my part of the world. What I did next was I made a list of people whose work was extremely inspiring to me. And I made a list of causes that I cared the most about. And I spent the next year traveling across India, working with people and working on things that mattered to me. So, and in the process of doing that, I want to tell you that I managed to meet and work with most of my role models. And it was an extremely powerful experience. Where I think, yes, we learn in school, we learn in college, but I think the best learning happens from the people that we want to be like, from the mentors that we get, and from learning through the day-to-day activities of people. So what I did was I made a list of all my role models and I started approaching them, asking them if I could shadow them for four months. I wanted to sort of, and in doing that, you'd be surprised that I just approached them and so many of them said yes, even if I were just a young student. So I just learned that people, no matter how big they are, no matter how noteworthy and prominent they are, want to help you. And many people are willing to help young women like us who are ambitious and who want to do something in life. So the next exercise that I want to give you, Amrita asked, how did you start your travel? How did you start getting associated with them? So I'm going to give you an exercise which answers just the question. What I did was I just wrote down the names of people who I wanted to travel with, who I wanted to work with, and I wrote them emails. I gave them phone calls. I started approaching them, telling them that I want to shadow them. This is what I did. So your next exercise is to write down a list of your role models, a list of people who inspire you, that you would like to get in touch with, that you'd like to work with in some capacity. And the names can be as small or as big as you want them to be. Don't think anybody is out of your reach. So I'm going to give you a minute to write this. It says, Prachi ma'am, I'm already within your reach. I'm already there for you. So I'm going to give you, Ashi, the timer again. We're going to take 45 seconds for this. I want all of you to write down a list of your role models. People who inspire you, people who make you think, I want to do something like them. Write down that list. Amazing. Somebody says Ronaldo. Two people are saying Ronaldo. Yeah, you can keep writing in the chat box as you write it, as you write the answers. Your brother, Kavya. Very nice. Okay. Thank you so much, Rashi. That's so sweet of you, Riddhima. All of you inspire me also. Time is done. Elon Musk, somebody says, not that absurd. Both are not absurd. Expert in your field, Shanaya. So yes, write down, find out the names of those experts. Amrita says my mother. My mother is a role model to me also. Great. So nice to Ratan Tata. Absolutely amazing. Ratan Tata, you might have heard about Shantanu Naidu, who wrote a letter to Ratan Tata, and now he's one of his key mentors. So I wanted you to write down this list because my experience has been that you make a conscious effort to reach out to your role models, and you'd be surprised how many of them come forward to help or support you in some form or the other. What I learned through this experience over the past years, the first time I did this, I was surprised at how many of them allowed me to shadow them for months. And since then, every year I've been writing down a list of people, list of role models that I would like to meet or seek mentorship from. And every single one of those names, I've been able to get in touch with. So it can be extremely powerful to know that your role models are within your reach. And I want to tell you about a couple of those names that I wrote down 2 years back. And in the 2-year time frame, I've managed to meet all of them. So I'd written, because some of you I know had said, oh, this is absurd to meet this person. But trust me, nobody is beyond your reach. So some of the names I'd written down was, I'd written Environment Minister of India. And 2 years back, I'd written that I wanted to meet the Environment Minister of India. And since then, I've managed to meet him multiple times. I've presented to him about Cool the Globe, and he gave me the COP27 Young Scholar Award. And I've been able to work with him closely because I could just think that this is the person I want to meet and work with. Then the next name I'd written down was Bill Gates. So last year, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation invited me to their summit and made me a goalkeeper. Goalkeepers are basically people around the world working on meeting the Sustainable Development Goals. So with Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, I became a goalkeeper from India. So that name also I was able to cross off, and all I did was write down a name of that role model on a list. Then I wrote down UN Secretary General. Now, UN Secretary General, I thought I could only think of meeting this person. There's no way I'll get a chance to interact with a person of this stature. But to my surprise, UN Secretary General called me and 10 other young people around the world to get advice from us ahead of the UN General Assembly. I was able to interact with him in a special meeting where he took our recommendations on what to say to world leaders. He took my recommendation on climate action and included it in his report. So I was able to cross off that name of a role model also. So just these 3 examples I wanted to give so that you expand your vision of what is possible, so that you know that anybody you want to meet is within your reach. So this is what I did. In the first time I did this was, my first role model was a farmer from Pune who built a group farming initiative called Abhinav Farmers Club. So with him, I spent 4 months traveling across Maharashtra, meeting farmers, thousands of farmers, and inspiring them to be a part of an organic, climate resilient group farming initiative. The next 4 months, I spent working with waste pickers in South India. So I visited all landfills and waste segregation centers across Bangalore. I would work with them, visit them, and I learned a lot from them also. I met, I met amazing, inspiring people who shaped me in many, many ways. And then for another 4 months, I traveled across Pune, meeting young children and documenting their dreams. So I met thousands of young kids and asked them what their dream looks like and who they want to become. So these are the issues that I cared about. I cared about education. I cared about our food and farmers. I cared about our waste pickers. I care about people's livelihoods. These are the issues that I thought were affecting India. But it is when I spend time on ground working on all of these things other than climate change that I really learned the most about what climate change means. Because till this point, I had only read about climate change. It was during this year that I happened to meet some people who showed me what it means who showed me what it looks like in day-to-day lives. I had set out to work on other issues because I thought climate change was only about these big words, and I could not bring myself to care about it naturally. So I remember asking myself, if not climate change, what is it then that I do care about? And this is something I want to ask you today also. Forget that we're talking on Environment Day and this is a session about the environment. I want to ask you, what do you care the most about in your day-to-day life? What matters the most to you?
Hunger
Hunger, absolutely.
and cleanliness.
Hunger and cleanliness.
Ma'am, poverty.
Poverty, absolutely. What about in your life? Not even about the world issues. What do you care the most about in your own life?
In day-to-day basis, we can say if we are going outside, there are lots of garbage roadside, and that means personally, I want to change that. I mean, somehow if I can, join some community and then we can do some initiative there.
Absolutely. Very nice, man.
Also, ma'am, our health. which matters and which is deteriorating, which I see uh, in the longer run, be it the
Yes.
yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, be it the immediate health that we have, or our health in the longer run, or our uh, lifespan, whatever it is, it's being impacted in a very bad way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So very true, ma'am. And like you said, um, I I asked this question to myself and to a lot of people around me also. And the answers I got were always very similar, like all of you have said in the chat also. I realized that as ordinary citizens, we care about very simple things. We care about our food, we care about our health, we care about our livelihoods, and most importantly, we care about our families and the people around us. Like Sukhdev has said, his parents. Um, Again, many of you have said my family, my parents. So it was actually when I spent time on ground working on issues other than climate change that I realized that climate change is affecting all of this. And were some people who made me realize that. I want to tell you about some of them today. Um, I remember meeting a very bright 12-year-old boy. And when I met him, he lived in a slum, not very far from my house. When I met him, I asked him a simple question. If you could get one wish and you can ask for anything in the world, what would you ask? I will never forget his answer because he said,
Can I tell you his answer?
hmm?
Can I tell you his answer? Because I watched you on Shark Tank India.
Yes, I talked about this on Shark Tank India. Yes, Kavya.
Yes. So so his answer was that he never wanted his house to get flooded again.
Absolutely, very true. So, like I shared this story, he said, I would wish that my house doesn't get filled with water again. And I was very shocked to hear this because I thought a 12-year-old boy should be playing, watching TV, should be having fun, not worrying about something as basic as a shelter above his head. And it made me realize that when I read about extreme weather events like flooding happening more frequently and more intensely because of climate change, it can also mean that a young boy like him has to worry about something as basic as a shelter above his head. And this I care about. I remember meeting another bright young girl. Uh, and when I was volunteering for an NGO that worked in education, when I met her, I asked her, which standard are you in? She said, I don't go to school anymore. Why is that? It was because her house got water only for 1 hour in the afternoon, and nobody else in her family could afford to stay at home during this time. It was around the time her town was seeing a drought. Khadakwasla Dam near her house had got dry, and water was being used scarcely throughout the city. And it was when I realized this time then that I realized that when we read and talk about extreme weather events like droughts happening more frequently because of climate change, it can also mean that a bright young girl like her has to skip school and stay at home to fill buckets with water. And this I care about. I learned the most about climate change from one old farmer that no other global expert taught me. He said, small farmers like me just can't afford to keep doing it anymore because the weather has become so unreliable. And when I can't afford to grow food, there are 1,000 people behind me who can't afford to buy food. So climate change also means that more and more people go hungry. I kept meeting more and more people like this throughout the time I spent on ground traveling in India, and they made me realize that climate change is not just about global warming, coastal erosion, loss of biodiversity, all of these heavy big words. It's really about very simple things. It's affecting our homes, our food, our health, our livelihoods, and our families. And it was only when I realized that I started ask myself maybe one of the most important questions ever, which is what can I then do about it? I remember going to my father and asking him, what can an ordinary person like me do about a big problem like climate change? And before I tell you what I did, I want you to do your next exercise, in fact, which is to think of a cause that you care the most about and ask yourself this question: what can I do about this from today? The answer can be very small, but just start today, start with small actions. But I want you to, I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to think about the cause you care the most about, and I want you to think about what can I do about this from today. So can we keep time, Ashi, for the next exercise?
How much time?
1 minute.
Done.
And feel free to write down it directly in the chat also. Which cause do you care the most about? And what will you do about it at your own level? Amrita cares about waste of food and waste of resources. What will you do about it, Amrita? Making people aware. Okay.
Ma'am, time is
Time's up. Okay. Heetal also cares about climate change. Very good, Heetal. You should join Cool the Globe. She's going to try and make people near her aware about it and try to lessen your carbon emissions. And you can use Cool the Globe app to do both. Great. Ridhima cares about misinformation on social media. Pratiksha cares about waste of electricity. Kavya also cares about climate change. Amazing. All of you who care about climate change have to become Cool the Globe ambassadors from now on and join me in our mission. Amazing. So I asked myself, which became, I think, one of the most important questions of my life: what can I do about a big problem like climate change? So my family and I, we decided to start from our own homes. We took up a simple quest to reduce our carbon footprint by 10% that. So I started researching on which activities of mine are leading to most emissions. How can I reduce them? But most importantly, how can I measure them? So I started making small sustainable changes. Like my college was 10 kilometers away. So I would go to college, cycle maybe 3 days in a or put up a solar panel on the roof to heat our water. I started recycling some of the plastic at home, segregating. So these small changes I started to make. And I realized that if I wanted to keep doing it, I wanted to be able to measure the impact of my actions. So I started researching on which activities of mine are leading to most. But also, how do I measure which sustainable activities reduce how many emissions? So as I started doing that, something very interesting happened. I began to enjoy it. It felt good that at least at my own level, I was doing something. It became like a fun game that I was playing with my family. And maybe because I was enjoying it so much, my friends, neighbors, people like you who were around me began coming to me and saying, it looks like you're doing something interesting and we would like to be a part of it. And that's really when I started thinking about how do I take this individual quest and get global citizens to be a part of it. And this is how the idea for Cool the Globe app came about. So I was still in college at the time. And while I was studying, I decided to build an app which would bring people like you and I together to make small, sustainable changes in our lives and fight climate change from our own homes. So I started thinking, not just climate action, but to achieve anything at all, what are some things that we need? What do you think are some things that we need to achieve anything? Some qualities, some traits? What do we need to achieve things? Awareness, absolutely.
Awareness, determination, and of course, quality, how we are following it.
Very true, very true. Absolutely. Awareness, determination,
Consistency.
discipline. Deepti, you were saying something?
Consistency.
Consistency, very true. So, yes, many of you are talking about consistency, discipline, and I thought exactly the same. I realized that to achieve anything at all, I first need a clear goal, a target in front of me, so that I feel motivated to be consistent about it. And then I need to be able to measure my progress on that goal. And that's how we built Cool the Globe app as well. As soon as a user comes on the app, they get a monthly target to reduce their carbon footprint. So my target for this month is to reduce 33 kg of CO2 emissions. And then I can see hundreds of simple day-to-day climate actions I can take to achieve that target. So have any of you used those apps that show you the calories you saved by running, doing exercise, or eating right? So our app is like that, but for climate action. So on Cool the Globe app, you'll see hundreds of simple day-to-day things you can do across the travel you do to school or college, appliances you use at home, the food you eat, how you segregate your waste, the materials you use. Across all of these, you can see hundreds of simple actions you can take, small changes you can make, and you can measure the greenhouse gases you are reducing by taking those actions. So throughout my college years, I worked on building this app. And by the time I graduated, we launched it. And that's when I realized that now the real work starts. We have built Cool the Globe app, but the real task is in convincing people that in the face of climate change, our actions matter, our words matter, and we can make a difference. So I had some amazing friends like you around me, and I started gathering up my friends, and we began making very simple video campaigns on what the common man can do about climate change. And our message was very simple, that let each one of us begin by reducing our carbon footprint by 10% every year. So people began doing it. They started coming on the app, taking a challenge to reduce their carbon footprint. They started recording their climate actions on the app. And they would record a climate action and tell others about it. So they started also spreading our videos. I remember a 9-year-old girl emailed me and said, what change can I make in my life to fight climate change? And she decided to start going to school on a cycle instead of a car. And by doing that for a few months, she recorded saving 60 kg of greenhouse gas emissions on the app, which was 3 times her weight. Another old woman called me and said, she was 75 years old. She said, I can't do much. I don't even get out of the house that much, but I still want to be a part of this movement. So what she did was her granddaughter was getting married. So in her granddaughter's wedding, they used her own sarees from her wedding instead of purchasing new sarees for the occasion. And by doing this, they recorded saving 15 kg of CO2 emissions on the app. So different people like this from all walks of life started coming to me. Young people around the world came to me. A girl from Pakistan came and said, I want to be Cool the Globe ambassador and spread the word in my community. So she learned about Cool the Globe app and started talking about it in her schools, colleges, among her friend groups, and got people from her country to join on the app. Another girl from Africa became our ambassador as well. So people like this, young people like you from different countries became Cool the Globe ambassadors and started spreading the word more and more. And through completely grassroots, citizen-led, youth-led movements like this, we reached over 25 million citizens from around the world. And as I speak to you today, in fact, users from 140 countries came together on Cool the Globe app. We have about 90,000 people coming together, and all of them came collectively saved our Environment Day target of reducing 5 million kg of greenhouse gas emissions. That's like planting 5 lakh trees. And this is just the beginning. Our next target on Cool the Globe app is to get communities on board so that every school, every organization, every city can have their own community for climate action where we can compete and collaborate to reach our sustainability goals. So there's a lot more that we want to do ahead, but to Cool the Globe started from my home as an individual quest. Then it became an app and a platform for climate action, and now it's turning into a citizen-led movement for climate action. And to make this movement even bigger, I need help from all of you. I would love if you pledge on this Environment Day to also join Cool the Globe. There are many ways that you can join Cool the Globe. The first way is, of course, to download the app and start reducing your own carbon footprint through the app also. You can email me, message me, and sign up to become a Cool the Globe ambassador. And what you do as an ambassador is just give presentations about climate change, about Cool the Globe, and get more and more people to become a part of our movement. The biggest thing you can do is decide one action you're going to take from today, from this Environment Day, one climate action, one small change, sustainable change you're going to make in your life. And just pledge to do it from this Environment Day. So if you want to make sure that this change you've decided aligns with the other goals in your life. So if your goal is to become fitter, then you can walk short distances instead of using a vehicle, or you can use a cycle to go to your school or college. If your goal is to save money, then you can steal clothes from your sister's closet instead of buying new clothes. And also then come on Cool the Globe app and record the emissions you saved. If your goal is to spend more time with family, then you can do chores at home together instead of using appliances. So there's many, many ways that you can be sustainable. Decide one climate action from today, and post a picture of yourself with that pledge, tagging me and Cool the Globe, saying that this Environment Day, this is the challenge you've taken from today. And that's how you become part of Cool the Globe movement. So thank you so much for having me today. I had a great time talking to all of you. I was so inspired by your answers, by your enthusiasm, and I would love nothing more than for all of you to join Cool the Globe so we can make a difference together. Thank you so much for having me. Let me know if you have any questions or comments.
Yes, participants, please ask questions if you have any. Ma'am will guide you, definitely address your questions.
Now, audience are please requested to ask their questions if they have any. Ma'am, I would like to ask one of the questions that generally in India, many people saying that things don't matter that much. But as your app has already reduced 30,000 carbon emissions, so how did you manage that?
I think both can be true. Sometimes people don't care that much, but I feel there's more people like you who do care. And my experience has been that every person has a yearning to make a difference. We just don't know how. We just get too caught up in our day-to-day life. But I think a happy life is a life driven with purpose. Happy life is a life where you get to make a difference. So all of you are already on your way to crafting a life like that. And the fact that people like you exist, Ashi, I think is how we did what we did.
Ma'am, what are your future plans on expanding the awareness on climate change?
Thank you for that question. It's a very nice question. So right now we have users from 140 countries on the app. The app started out as an app for individuals to take climate action in their homes. What we want to do next is enable communities to come on it, so that every school, every college, every city can have their climate action community on the app. And sort of collaborate, compete together as a community to reach these goals. So now next phase, we want to launch communities on the platform. So maybe we can have a GEM community on the app also. Somebody's asking for my
Any more
IG,
questions?
Prachi.Shevgaonkar. So do post pictures of your challenges or of what you learned today on your story and tag me and Cool the Globe app. I would love to repost it and know about what your challenges or learnings from today are.
Participant, does anyone have any more questions?
Hello, this is Amrita. I wanted to know that are you collaborating with this municipalities who are responsible for this collection of garbage, and they are the main community responsible for the landfills? Are you collaborating with them to form a community to make them aware?
Absolutely. That's a very good question. This is something that we are, in fact, planning to do soon once our
Oh
community
yeah.
launched. We'll first go to organizations and schools, but then we also want to get municipalities to have their own community.
Then I'll suggest you to please come to this DAV school, Gurugram, Sector 14.
Okay.
Right? Because like I'm a student and I am I'm really concerned about, like, I go to Sadar Bazaar, like there's a old marketplace here.
Right.
And there's a lot of garbage. I mean, we also went to the small tea stalls and those people and asked, where do you throw this garbage? So they said they were just grooming the garbage and they make a pile in the center of the road. And
Right.
then we asked who takes them away. So they said that the municipality people come and take them. But what we observed, in 1 or 2 hours, we were just roaming about I was roaming about with my mother. And I observed that those garbage that they collected at the center of the road, I mean, it just got dispersed more
Right.
instead of getting collected. So that is, I mean, it's very much of concern, because that will lead to, it will go to landfills and those plastics and all those things. And outside our school also, I observed that a lot of plastics are there inside the soil. So
Absolutely.
you please come to our school and we might have a good this thing.
I would love to come, but I have to tell you that all it takes is also a person like you to take an initiative. So I'm sure you have immense power to make change about this also. So it's so nice to know that you care so deeply about it, and I'm sure you'll do something.
Yeah, sure.
Ma'am, in your opinion, is the single-use plastic ban is feasible in India? And it also affect directly, in the sense to stop global warming?
Absolutely. It is extremely important. What I've learned is big policy decisions like this happen when, it don't just happen from top up, but they often take place from uh, uh, bottom up. It's when people like us start caring about it and demanding it. That's when decisions like this are made. So it's really individual actions. When individuals say, I'm not going to use single-use plastic anymore, that's when politicians will be incentivized to take decisions like banning it. So it really starts from our homes.
Any questions? Audience?
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
First of all, thank you for this wonderful session. It was very informative. I have one question, that what metrics do you use to measure the environmental impact of your business?
Yeah, that's a good question. In fact, our app is about measuring avoided emissions. So we use emission factors used by organizations like IPCC, World Bank, Edgar, IEA. So in all of their reports, they have standardized emission factors of different things. But the problem was that it was always spread across different actions. So for example, petrol has a emission factor which is metric of what are the CO2 emissions released per liter in the creation of per liter of petrol. So we know that. So then we would ask user to information like what is the distance they traveled. We will use average mileage of a car and we'll calculate the emissions avoided by not traveling by car. So this way you have base emission factors for different things. And we use that to create algorithms to measure the impact of different actions.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, G.E.M.S will always take care of local problems under your guidance and mentorship. Thank you so much.
But I would love for all of you to just switch on your camera for a minute so we can take a screenshot.
Everyone, ARV Mudgal, Asham, Angel, Ritvik, Sichi, please turn on your camera.
Amazing.
Now I would like to invite Monica ma'am for thanking note.
First of all, thank you so much, Prachi ma'am, for your time. We are really glad to have your presence in this session. It's really interactive and also valuable for us and for the audience as well. I'm sure our GEMS team now is inspired by you and your aspirations. And in future, we would really seek your guidance, further guidance and expertise to, innovate some solution towards fighting these global challenges. We'll definitely seek your guidance.
Absolutely. It was such an inspiration for me also to be here. I loved your answers and I had a great time talking with everybody.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.